Hello, this is Grandma P. Hope you're doing okay today. I wanted to do some more planting of vegetables. And earlier I did a walkthrough of some of the statuses of the plants that I've done already. And hopefully you'll get to you got to see that. It's on a previous video for today. But I'll do a quick runaround for that. How are you? Thanks for tuning in, by the way. I'm going to show you again some of the vegetables that were planted, and I looked at my chart, actually my notes, so that I could show you how you keep up with what dates you're planting your plants. So if you look at a previous video, it will show you that. But I'm going to give you a quick look of where the progress is with some of the vegetables that were done a few weeks ago. If you remember, I transplanted some. I actually planted potatoes here from potatoes, and see how much is growing. And I'm going to add some soil in there. From what I've understood, as the potatoes are growing, you continue to add soil as the leaves are growing up. This is one of those containers that I told you when it's ready to harvest. I can pull this up and just harvest the potatoes right out of the pocket, because the potatoes are grown underground and you harvest them from underground. So those potatoes, that container, I love it, and that's how I'm going to use it, and it's going to work to the benefit of harvesting the potatoes. Look at these tomatoes. Oh my goodness, they're like beautiful. Remember, this container, this tomato plant was in that container over there. You see it? Well, I moved it to this large container because remember I was telling you about the stalk. It was thick. I don't know if you can see that. Very thick. And when it's that thick, I think if you give it more room to grow, look at that right there. You give it more room to grow, then it's going to be better for the root of the plants. So I'm just going to take this tomato off. Some of them are really growing. Look at that. Oh, isn't that beautiful? Look at that tomato. Look at it. And the others are finally turning red. And we have so many more. I'm going to set that there. We have so many more that are growing on the vine. And this one is seemingly in the way. I'm going to have to adjust that and have it so that these, they are really huge, those tomatoes are. But that's what I'm going to do with that. This is another starter plant for tomato, starter plant. This particular one, it is beginning to develop some tomatoes on it. They're growing in, and that's a good thing. Once they start, they'll keep going. This here is another green pepper plant. As you can see, it's growing more and more. And as the stalk is growing, this is what I take notice of when I decide to move a plant from the container that it was purchased in to moving it to a bigger container. This stalk gets thick, and you can imagine how the roots are beginning to grow under the bottom, and they want to spread out. So that's one of the reasons why I definitely do transplanting, and I will do it when I see a plant in trouble and need help. This right here, these are some more green sweet pepper plants. This one was one that was similar to the one I just showed you. It's a purple bell pepper sweet plant that's growing. And that's coming up tremendously. And this was grown from seeds. So you see the seedlings are coming in. And that will be sweet, big red to green peppers. But I'm going to head over to the yard because I do want to do some moving of plants around today. So come take a walk with me. Hope everything is going well with you. Oh, and I appreciate you tuning in. If you recall, I told you that I'm just getting started doing gardening. And mine is above ground. As you can see, look at it. It's on the deck. It's on the ramp, actually, because I'm still working on getting the deck how I want it to be before I put the plants back on the deck. So they're sitting on my ramp right now. But it is above ground garden in containers. This right here, these are some other cloth containers. You know, I told you before, I kind of favor them. I really do. It's something about how they automatically have their draining system in it, built in it. It's just, it drains well. And for some reason, it seemed like the soil and the roots, they're either being aerated. I can't describe it, but it's really working well for the plants that I have in it. And the spinach plant that I planted, one of my friends told me that, I said, you know, I'm planting spinach. She said she did, but her spinach were kind of stringy. Well, I think I've showed you those spinach before, but I'm going to plant more spinach in one of these fabric or cloth containers. I want to see how well they will grow this from seed, how well they will grow in that. And with some plants like spinach, lettuce, radish, so many plants are in that category where you can harvest, you can plant seed and harvest within 5 to 6 weeks, literally. So that's one of the things that I'm going to attempt to do with the spinach. But I did want to set this here because I'm going to put soil in here, and we're going to put some plants in here. This right here, I hope you can see this. This right here is soil that I have used from previously last year. Someone say, I've heard people say don't use the same soil. I don't know what they mean by that. I have taken the time to try to eliminate any roots in the soil. And I will show you one instance where soil I cleared out and I can understand what they mean. Because in the midst of the spinach plant that I got, one of the, I planted last year, some basil, purple basil. And a purple basil leaf has popped up in the middle of that plant, that pot that I have the spinach in. So I understand what they're saying. Soil costs a lot if you're buying it from the store, if you're not digging it up from your own ground. So I'm going to take some of this soil because the container, this is a 20-quart container, and it holds a lot of soil. So as I told you, I use all kind of soil. I find what's on sale, and I use that. And what I want to do now, I'm going to take some of this soil, which I've gone through, sift through it. I did that some time ago. Nothing is growing up in it. I did this months ago. I think it was back in April. So if there were any roots in this soil, I should see some seedlings by now. And it's been in long enough where I don't see anything. So I'm using this soil. I mix it with different types of soil. I am going to put some of that conditioner, organic soil conditioner, mixed with that. And I'm going to add a little, they call it coop poop. I'm going to add a little bit of that to it. But I just stir it together, mix it well. And when I do my planting, remember I said I like to use potting mix soil because it's more aerated and it's not so heavy. Let me see if I can do this a better way. Let's see here. Let me just get some of it out. Some of this, like I told you, dirt gets heavy and you have to be careful. I'm gonna just go put it in this one. This one fell over, and I tell you, it won't set up straight like I need it to be. I'll get to that in a minute. But I'll put take some of this out and put it in here until I can get the bucket to the point where I can hold it without straining too much and dump the rest of the soil in here. This holds a lot. And what I would put in a container like this, that's 2 feet tall, is a plant whose root need to be that tall. Or if it doesn't need to be that tall, at least the container is wide enough and big enough where I can put several seeds in there and watch them grow. So let me see if I can lift this now and get the rest of it out of here. You know I don't even have my gloves on. I came out the house, and you know, ladies, how I am. I have my plastic gloves on, and then I put the work gloves on top of that. And I've come running out the house without it. Boy, you know I'm not up on that one. Love to keep the hands clean. But I want to do this and get it done. And I'm just mixing this soil up in here. I've got another container, this one right here. This container, remember, this is similar to the one that I'm planting the potatoes in. See this? Where you use the flap. When you want to harvest any vegetables that grow underground, you can pull this up and harvest it that way. That's kind of why they designed it that way. So I'm going to take some of this soil. This container, I will be using this container for carrots, beets. I've got another container. So one of these will be used for carrots. The other one I'll be using it for the beets. Because those are vegetables, remember, they grow underground. So I got these containers that actually allow me to harvest vegetables that grow underground. I have used them. Last year I did use this for some cherry tomatoes, and they grew tremendously. They grew up even through the fall. There are some videos you'll see on that, and they grew from seed. So this is also is a good container. Look, when you have plants, remember you got to consider the depths of plants. Some plants only require 12 inches of depth. When I talk depth, I mean the height of the plant. The roots need a certain measurement or a certain height to grow in. So when I mention depth, I'm not talking this wide. I'm actually talking about how deep the soil needs to be so that the vegetable or the seed that you're growing with vegetables will have the space to grow. The roots will have a space to get as deep as they need to be to give you a good harvest. And it can grow well. Well, I'm going to have to dig this a little bit more. That's a little heavy. So let's go here. And I tell you right now, I really need to run and get my gloves, but I'm going to hang in here for a little bit. Just hang in there with me. I may not need them. First time I don't have them, ladies, guys. I really need them on, but I ran out because I want to catch this evening before it gets late. And I did want to do some planting because the temperature is getting to be hotter, and it's difficult for me when it gets too hot. I can't work too much in the heat, and so this is why I'm trying to hurry up and get this done. I may take a break and go get my gloves though. But hang in there, ladies and guys. So glad you stopped by. Grandma P, Gardening by Faith. Hang in there. Let me show you. Can you see that? I hope you got to see it. But this is soil. Just putting the soil in there. That's all I'm doing. Just putting soil in there. I am going to mix some of the organic soil with this, along with some garden poop, just a little bit. And when I plant the seeds, I'm going to make a mound or an area for the seed that I put in here, so that and I'll use potting soil, so they'll have a chance to grow. But hang in there with me. Hold on. Okay. All right, look, I had to go get my work gloves. How about that? Look at that. See, ladies, how you put a plastic glove inside of your work glove if you want to keep your hands from getting a lot of dirt. It will get under your fingernails. So that's a good way of kind of protecting your hands. Some people love the earth and they want to feel the dirt. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not that person right now. Maybe I'll grow to that one day, but that's how that is. So anyway, all right, this is where we are again with the soil, and I want to we're going to put a little bit of this soil conditioner in it. It's organic soil conditioning in it, and it has some humus content in it. And we're not going to put a whole lot, but I am going to put just a little bit of the coop poop in it, and it will help. It gives it calcium and helps the roots to become stronger too. So that's what that does. So I'm just going to sit it here so you can watch me do that. I want you to see how simple this is. You keep it simple. You really do. And this is the first time I've bought the organic soil. They had it on sale. So I bought that. I mean, just use what you have. Last year, I didn't do any of that. I really did not. I was concerned. I could not grow the watermelon. The watermelon didn't grow well. And the watermelon grew, but it had a dark spot on the end of it. When I tried to figure out what was wrong with it, it mentioned something about needing to have more calcium. One of the recommendations was that I was to get some dry milk and mix it a little bit with water to give it a calcium boost so that I wouldn't have to wait for calcium to break down in the soil over time. I did try that. It didn't really help. And I think I may have done it too late in the game. But I'm using that. Let me get a little bit of this organic conditioner soil. I'll put that in there. And see, this soil has set all through the winter. You might feel that it's lost its nutrients. I do see some where I had potted plant soil mixed in there before. I do see some particles. Remember, I talked about and showed you how the particles in that potted soil, they contain nutrients. They break down over time, and they will get into the soil and feed the soil over time as you water it. So that's a good thing about having potted soil, is because it does give you your plant nutrients that it needs too. And it doesn't do it all at once. It breaks it over time. So let's put a little bit more here. See, I'm using, hey, how about this? I found this at the dollar store. Family Dollar, I think it was, and I picked it up. Remember, I just use a regular spoon. So you don't really need a whole lot to spend a lot of money. If you're not willing to dig for soil, then you're going to have to buy some. I catch whatever's on sale. Like I told you, I do. The reason I got the organic soil, I know that it helps with the planting, but it was on sale. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of this coop poop in it. It's slow release nitrogen. It releases nitrogen slowly. So I'm going to put some of that in there. And I'm just going to mix it into the soil. Oh, it smells too. First year I've used it, and I can see how it helped with the squash. I planted that squash and zucchini, and I'm telling you, within a week's time, the seedling had come through so much, it almost frightened me. It was pushing the dirt out of the way. I have a picture of it. I got to figure out how to do all this stuff, editing. I'm trying to learn how to do that. And I can show you the pictures and all that it created. It did. I took, and I was taken back. It was only 2 or 3 days. I mean, I'm literally, and the seed had turned into seedlings, and it was pushing the soil out of the way. I didn't put it deep in the soil either, but it was pushing the soil out of the way, and I was surprised. I was happily surprised, but I was surprised. Okay, let's see here now. What are we going to put in here right now? Okay. Deep soil. Okay, let's see here. Remember this plant right here? This is the green pepper plant. I'm going to put this one in this container. Look at this stalk. Remember I was telling you about how thick the stalk gets. It needs more room. This is not going to make it. Now look at that small green pepper. It's probably not going to get any bigger if I don't give that root some place to grow. And hopefully it has not matured to the place where it won't expand. But I know that I'll be able to get all the seedlings on there. So let's do that. We're going to put it right here in this container. Remember I got some organic soil in here. I have done a mixture of soil. I got organic soil in here, as well as some coop poop, a little bit of that, not a lot, a little bit of it. It releases over time some nitrogen, and I put that in there. Now remember I said when we transplant plant, try to use some potting soil, because the potting soil is a little lighter. This is a little heavy, a little heavier, but that potting soil, it's lighter. So it helps when we use that potting soil. So let's see here. Get my hand back here. But check this out. You see how light that is? You see how light that is? That's potting soil. So we're going to put some of that in here. Right there in the cradle where we're going to put that plant at. Because we want the roots to be able to grow. We don't want it to struggle with the heavy soil. So we put some potting soil down in there, so that the cradle that we have will have potting soil in it, and the roots will have a chance to expand more easily. All right. Now we're going to take this out here. You do it very carefully. As you can see, it's beginning to, the roots are growing, getting ready to go through the pot. And you take it out easily, carefully. See how the roots are? And you just give it a little touch. You don't want to upset much, but just give it a little touch. And see, look at the potting soil. You see all those little ingredients in there? Those are time-released ingredients that will leak out and feed the soil and the plant over time. So I put the potting soil in there, laid that on top of it. I'll put a little bit more potting soil around it, the area of it, so that it'll have a better chance of adjusting, the roots adjusting to the new environment that it's in, this new container that it's in, the new soil that it's going to eventually integrate with. Okay, that makes sense? You know, when you go to a new house, you got to kind of like see how things are, and hopefully it doesn't take much adjusting. So that's that. Now I'm also going to put in this container some green pepper seed. And that's and these are sweet peppers. Remember, I got some red peppers already planted, but I wanted to plant some more. And honestly, I like green peppers, and in the stores they cost too much. 89 cents, almost $1 for one pepper. So if you can grow something that you like, do it. It will save you money too. So that's what we'll do. That's what I'm doing. And I'm just creating a little cradle in there, and I'm putting the seeds down there. Okay. And they say space it about 18, 24 inches, about 75 days I'll harvest. So before the end of the summer, I'll have some green peppers. And that's what you do, just put them in. And I think I'm going to have a lot of green peppers this year. Honestly, I'm glad, because they really do cost a lot. So I think I'm going to leave this container just for the green peppers. I'm hoping to harvest a lot of green peppers this year. So I'm willing to use that one container for that. Okay. So we got a plant transplanted. And we'll get ready to, with this one right here, this soil in here. Remember this one I told you I was going to use for carrots or beets. And right now I am in the need of beets. Something I need, and I'm going to use this container for the beets. So let's get some beet seed. Listen, I'm really going for it this time. You know, I usually try to get starter plants, but I didn't even see any starter plants for that. So I'm going to use beet seeds to do this. Okay. And let's see here. It germinates 10 to 21 days. It only have to be like a half an inch in the soil. You don't plant your seeds. You don't plant seeds too far down in the soil. This one only wants it in there half an inch, which means you almost just putting it in the soil and then covering it up. Not heavily, but just covering it up, okay? And it takes 55 to 60 days for them to be ready to harvest. So what I'm gonna do now is put some more soil in that container, and then I'm gonna plant these beet seeds in this container. Remember, because the beet is a plant that grows underground, this container right here will allow me to harvest it underground. So I'm using that container for that, okay? So that's what I'm doing right now. Hang in there. We got soil. I use a lot of my soil there. So let me get some regular garden soil. This is just standard garden soil that I put in here. Okay. And these containers, the only drawback to these containers to me is that it's not wide enough to me. You only can plant, you're only going to use it, I think, for one plant, as if you were using, like, look at this. This bucket that you see right here, this is a bucket that people grow vegetables in, potatoes in, it doesn't matter. You can use this. Remember we talked about the ratings of plastic when you use those. So this bucket, you can use it. It is a, let me see if I can find the rating on here. It's a 2 rating on this bucket, all right? It's a 2 rating. So hang in there. Let me get some more type of soil that I want to put in there. Okay. While I was there, I wanted you to see the ratings. This container is safe. That bucket that I showed you, it is safe. There is a rating 2 and food safe plastics, okay? So be careful if you're going to use plastics. Make sure that they have the appropriate rating for that. And that just means that the plastic won't break down and cause toxins to leak in the soil. If it does any breakdown, this container right here had the 2 rating. If it does any breakdown, it's really the percentage is so low it won't hurt anything. And it's important to pay attention to that, okay? All right. Let's put a little potting soil in here. Mix in there too. All right. And we're going to add a little organic soil in there too. Now remember, this soil has been sitting, this other soil that I cleaned out, it's been sitting for months. So I know that it has been composting within itself. So that's a good thing about it. If you're going to reuse soil, which I don't know if people will recommend that. I've done it in the past. I'm doing it again this time. Make sure that you take the time to sift through that soil. Make sure that you get all the roots out of it so that it won't regrow a previous plant. I do that. Maybe people don't want to use because maybe they feel like all the nutrients have been sucked out from the previous plant. That's why I mix soil. That's why I fertilize the soil with some poop or something. And I also have a liquid fertilizer from Miracle Grow. This is what I'm using. I haven't started my own compost yet. So I'm doing the best I can to keep it so I think the vegetables are okay. So that's what we're doing with that. Hold on here. Okay, these beets here is what I'm planting in this soil. It requires just about a ½ inch of depth. And remember, it only needs about, the highest it needs is 24 foot to grow. This is more than 24 feet. And I've got quite a bit of soil in here. More than halfway. And I add some more to that. Put a little bit more organic soil in there too. Remember how heavy soil gets. So when you're buying soil in bags, remember you got to lift it. So be careful that you get a bag. I have had to learn the hard way. And you have seen me struggling with videos where I've gotten bags of soil that was just too heavy to lift. And it took me a while just to get more soil in it and all that stuff. Took a while to do it. But use anything you can. Okay, now I'm going to put a little of this poop in it to give it some nitrogen. Doesn't take a lot. And then I would just, and this also releases nitrogen over time. It's not like it's going to release it right away. So it's a good thing. Between that and then having the potted soil in there that release nutrients, then you know your plant is going to be fed pretty well. And you want to make sure it gets what it needs to grow. You have to have proper food to grow yourself and to be healthy. And we're trying to make sure that happens. This is the first time I've used poop or something else they had on sale. And I said, you know what? Since I'm starting late, I'm starting so late, until I said I need to help these plants as much as I can. Okay, now that I've gotten that soil in there, got it well mixed. See that? Got it well mixed with all kinds of stuff in it. Little poop stuff. Look at that poop stuff. You know. And so it will release nitrogen over time. So that's a good thing. All right, now we're going to put some more of this potted mix in there too. And then I'm going to build just a little area where I'm going to plant these seeds. They don't need to go in deep. So I tell you what I'll do. I'll make me a cradle of where the seeds will go. And I'll put this potting mix in that cradle. And that way when I put the seeds in there, see all that grit is in there? See that? See, potting mix will also release nutrients over time. So that's one good thing about it. And it's lightweight. Okay, hold on. Okay, let's see here. We're going to put some seeds in here. That's all I'm doing. Opening it up. Put in a couple of seeds as I'm giving a little space in here. Wish you could see down here. When you got a cameraman, it makes all the difference in the world when you got a real cameraman. But all I'm going to do, see that, is just place seeds in here. In here. That's all I'm doing. Just putting a couple of seeds down in here. Spacing them out. Remember, they only wanted to be a 1/2 inch down. And I do know that the plant ultimately will be 4 inches if I was planting it apart. So I'm going to see if I can do that. And then we're going to see what happens. Cover it with some of that potting mix. Only want to be a 1/2 inch under. The potting mix, remember, see how lightweight that is? It's not like heavy soil. And as the plants grow, we've got it bordered also under the seed with potting mix. So that will help it to get a chance to establish itself. Okay, hold on, let me get this straight here. Okay. Okay, now that we have the seeds planted, we got beets in this container. Remember this container? We're going to give it some water. All right, plenty of water. Same thing for the this container that have the green peppers in it. And I'm using this whole container for that, which seemed to be somewhat a little overkill because this container is huge, is bigger. But I want a lot of green pepper this year. They're almost $1 a piece, and I love cooking them with onions. And I would just cook up some sometimes and have them to serve with my meals. So we got the green pepper in, and we now have the beets in this container here. All right. But we did say that we needed to add soil to the container that's growing the potatoes. So we need to do that. Hold on, let me get my little hands in some gloves again. Sometimes I have to take them off because I can't work the camera with these big gloves. It doesn't respond to the touch screen. And we're going to take some soil up there and put it in that container that we have where we need to add soil for the potatoes. So hold on. I think we're going to give it some of this organic soil. I know that it will continue to grow. I put this organic soil in there to get it started. And I also have a little coop in there. I think I added coop to that too. But we're going to take some of this organic soil. And we're just filling it enough for it to reach the new growth and stem of the new potato plant that's growing in now. That's what we're doing now. We've already planted the potatoes. They're already growing. They really are. So we have to now do like I've heard, as it grows, add soil to it. So that's what we're going to do. Let's take a walk here with me. Hang in there. I really appreciate you tuning in today. I really do. I wanted to get quite a bit of things done today. Still kind of behind schedule for other things I had to do. But this right here is a potato plant. And if you'll look at a video, you'll see when I actually did this, okay? Well, look at it. It's working. It's doing really well. It's doing very well. But if you look down in here, you will see, you see how that is? I was told that you need to add, and look at some of those potatoes sticking up. They actually multiply when they grow. So I need to put more soil in here. I didn't bring the scooper, but hold on, I'm going to pour this soil inside of it. Okay. Strategically do it, okay? See, when the bags are lightweight, you can really you can use them. You really can, I tell you. But when they're heavy, I can't do much with them. They're too heavy for me. But this particular way, I can manage it. All right. Now, check this out. We got some more soil in there now. See, we covered the bottom. You see how it's growing? Look at that. You could see it before where the potatoes were showing. We've added some soil. And as I was told, as it continued to grow, add a little bit more soil. So we've done that. And prayerfully, that'll help it keep growing. Of course, we'll add some water to it and see what happens. But this is where we are today. We planted some green peppers, red peppers in the same bin, and we also put some seed in soil for beets. So, hey, I'm glad you tuned in today. I really am. It's been a joy. I finally got some of this done that I've been planning to have done for the longest time. And so I've got a lot of it done. So thank you for tuning in to that. This is Grandma P, Gardening by Faith. And I hope you're doing well, taking care of yourself. Stay prayed up. We put it in. I pray God bless it. And then we'll see what's going to happen. And then when you tune in again, I'll show you the status as I have the others. I do want to get some squash in the ground. And let's see what else is squash. Cucumbers. I've got to do the cucumbers because they're expensive too. Really expensive. And cucumbers grow so easily. So it's sad that when you go in the stores, they cost so much. And you can grow them so easily. So I've got to get the cucumbers done. Get the squash in a container. And then we're going to see what happens after that. I do have a container for, I wanted to do carrots in one of those containers like that. And I also wanted to do, it was something else that grew on the ground. Sweet potatoes. I think I'm out of those containers. I may have to order another one for that. Because I would like to grow them so that I can harvest them by just pulling that flap up. Look, I'm Grandma P, keeping it simple, gardening by faith. And I want to make it so that it's fun, that I can just pray for it, believe God to make a difference, and so forth. So I hope you've gotten started with your garden if that's what you want to do. Look, it is already June the 17th. I am very late. I didn't want to do it because I wanted to travel. So now I'm trying to be strategic so that when I'm gone, it's raining. And so far, it's worked out really well because it's getting ready to get hotter. And you've got to be here to water your plants unless you come up with a filtration system. I'm still looking into that. There's one I thought I might be able to use. I don't know. I have to see how well it works while I'm home. I can test it out and see how well it works and know that I can leave my garden, above ground garden at that. I can leave it for a few days if it doesn't rain. And that's what you got to do. Look, you don't leave your kids unattended when you leave the home. You make sure they're taken care of. Well, it's kind of like what you have to do with your plants. You got to make sure that they're getting taken care of. There have been times I've been here probably like hollering, come and water me. So, if you're out of town, it's going to be even harder for them. So you got to be mindful that they're going to need some water, just like we need water every day to live. But this is Grandma P Gardening by Faith. I hope things are going well with you in your life. Doing gardening has shown me so many ways of God and how He loves us and He nurtures us. And the seeds that we have in our lives, we want them to be good seeds. Some of them come to choke up things in our life, and that can be all kinds of things: hurt, harm, indifference, conflict. Those weeds come, you got to clean the garden out. But God is faithful. And just like we're able to do the same for our plants, clean those weeds out, make sure they grow healthy, fight off the insects that come, then we can believe God to help us do the same thing in our daily lives. This is Grandma P Gardening by Faith, keeping it real simple. You take care of yourself. Get your garden going. If you have a desire to do it in a pot. I showed you that pot. That pot can handle 5 gallons of soil. You can grow potatoes in there. You can grow anything you want to grow in there. In fact, the height of it is almost like you can grow anything that I have on my list of vegetables to grow, because it's at least 2 feet tall. So it can handle just about anything that you put in there. So read up on it. Take care of yourself. Thanks for tuning in. And I forget to say, like my channel, do a subscribe, and share. God bless you. Take care. Grandma P Gardening by Faith.